Hey everybody, this is David. Welcome to the final week, the final module of your first course in the master's program. Congratulations on making it this far. You guys have seen my ugly mug enough in videos over the last few weeks, as evidenced by all of these things in the announcements. So what I thought I would do this week is just review the Module 7 requirements as you would, looking at it from a student perspective. So if we go over here and click on Learning Modules, and we go down to Module 7, this is something similar to what you're going to see. So this week is the final week where we wrap up a lot of stuff. And so you'll see the module objectives, the topics, and all of those things. So let's go first to read and study. And this week in your readings, you're going to be reading chapter 13 in your textbook, which is about research writing. There are several pages included here, and they'll give you a lot of really good techniques as you wrap up your paper and your paper writing this week. And then I've given you some links here to the CSU writing resources. And I would encourage you to bookmark this because these are very, very helpful. The CSU Writing Center is available for you as an online student. And so you can go over here and click on the Writing Center. You can set up an appointment with a writing specialist there, and they can review your work. I would encourage you to use that resource. It is free to use for online students, just like it is for on-ground students. And if you happen to live in the Charleston area and you would prefer to go to the university campus, you can use that as well. And then also, you see here there are some student resources that are available for you in writing. There's some things on writing process. You'll also see style guides here. I would encourage you to look at these and continue to use those as you go through your writing. So this Writing Center, again, is available to you as a student. And I would just encourage you here to click on that and then bookmark it so that you'll be able to use it in future courses. And then there is a Module 7 lecture this week that you'll be able to review that will highlight the key areas as I see it off of Chapter 13. Okay? And so that will be the majority of your readings this week as you go forward. So what do you have to do? Well, the discussion board this week talks about the importance of synthesizing sources. Synthesizing sources. Now, I've had conversations with a couple of you on the phone where you've struggled with this, and this is something that I continue to struggle with as well. Because what you do is not only do you have to find a source, but you have a professor like me who says, I want you to paraphrase what they're saying and don't give a direct quote. And so what you have to do is effectively take what your source is saying and put that into your own words. So how do you do that? How do you find your own voice in going through with that? How do you avoid plagiarism? And so what I'm asking you to do this week is to share with your fellow classmates the process that you're going to use to move forward in that particular area of research and then synthesizing the sources that you find. So again, you have to be diligent to find those sources, but you also have to be very practical in the way that you take those sources and put them into your own words so that they become key parts of your paper. This week, the short answer talks about the thesis statement. And so this final chapter is one that is sort of a wrap-up and review. I know I've been harping on this a lot on your papers to make sure that your purpose is clear. And so what I'm asking you to do here is to provide some responses to me on why developing that thesis statement is important. There's also a section in the reading this week that talks about the 5 different categories of framing a working thesis. So I want you to explain what those are and why those are important. And then make sure that you're very, very clear on this thesis statement on your paper that you've been working on all semester. And then how might you change it? You don't have to change it. If you're very comfortable with it and it clearly articulates the purpose of your paper, then by all means go ahead and continue with that. But that is the short answer assignment this week. And then finally, your final paper submission. I am sure that you are all very excited to get this paper off your, sorry to say off your desk, but these days it's out of your computer for the final time. Now, what I'd ask you to do is to go back, review all of my comments, review all the key things that you have this week. Make sure you have the minimums on peer-reviewed journal sources. Make sure you're using proper writing structure. Big thing, make sure that you have proper APA formatting. And make sure that your paper has the proper format and flow. Again, using that 6-stop model that I talked about and I've been talking about every week. So this is really important. Here's the main reason. This final paper is 25% of your total grade. So this is worth 250 points. So you need to make sure that you go through it. Make sure that you check for spelling errors. Make sure that you check for proper indentation and all the things that I have listed here. So this is one final time that you have to be able to look at this and submit it, as your final document. One of the things that I would encourage you to do here too, the test this week is over APA reference formatting. Now we've talked about that a lot last week well, it's in Module 5. We talked about proper citations. Well, this week I want to make sure that you have proper reference formatting. So part of what I did on your papers in Module 5 was give you some tips on how to format the most frequently used journal articles and those types of things. So this test is going to be similar to the one that you did in Module 5, where I gave you some information and asked you to create a proper citation. Well, here, what I'm doing is I'm giving you some information and asking you to create the proper APA reference formatting. As I mentioned there as well, this is not close as in horseshoes. It has to be exact. So I would encourage you to make sure you take your time doing this and that you focus on how to do this because it's going to be important. If you can figure this thing out and figure the citations out, then the rest of the 11 courses you have in this degree program will be a breeze as it relates to APA. So make sure that you take the time necessary to get that right. And then finally, we ask you to create, to take a student course survey. I find these very, very valuable. So I'd ask you to make sure that you complete these, to make sure that you're honest in the assessment, because I take those and help adapt and adjust the course in areas that make sense, based upon some of the suggestions that I get from students. Okay? Well, have a great last week. I am back in the States, so if you have any questions or need to chat with me, I would encourage you to do that. Again, this particular module is kind of the make or break module, with the paper being 25% of your total grade. So, if you have any questions, don't submit it and then say, well, I had a question, but I didn't ask it. Well, make sure you ask things before you submit them this time around. All right? Hopefully you have a great week. Contact me if you need me. Take care.